Welcome into another edition of Foolish Fantasy. I'm your host, Kramer Sansone. Welcome into a week 7 recap, week 6 recap. We go on to week 7 here later this week. Week 6 is officially in the books, and oh my goodness, what a week it was, especially if you're like, I guess, Rico Dowdle owner. So I don't know, we'll get to him a little bit in the Foolish Funsies. But the question I have for you all, are you making the playoffs this year? Are you? I know there's at least one team that I have that is truly will not make the playoffs. I'm hoping I can go on a run. The run would be nice, but there's just one of my 7 teams that I know for a fact just doesn't have the juice. It's just not there. It was the team that had Jamar Chase and drafted him first overall, had to trade him away. That playoff team is not it's not a playoff team. Well, it could be a playoff team. It has a lot of guys that have been put on there orchestrated around this team, but it's just not going to make the playoffs. So there's at least one league that I'm in. I know for a fact I'm not making the playoffs. The other 6, though, yeah, we're going to be we'll be just fine when it comes to the week 14, week 15, whenever it does hit to the playoff time. But I'm your host, as always, Kramer Sansone, right here for Foolish Fantasy. Make sure you are following, subscribe, make sure you turn on notifications because you don't want to miss a lovely single second of what we bring to the table here at Foolish Club Media, whether if it's all the Chiefs content that we have or even the Houston Texan content that we have on this channel. We love every single sports content, and we do appreciate you all for joining the community and following what we've been doing on here for well over a year now, and we thank you. We appreciate you, and yeah, let's get to some Foolish Funsies. First, let me put this thing at the bottom. The Foolish Funsies, let's start off with Rico Dowdle's Scorched Earth season. Rico Dowdle played his former team, the Dallas Cowboys, and it sounded like he wanted to make a statement. I mean, he was calling his teams out and make sure they had them chin straps on tightly because he was going to go right there out the jaws, and he absolutely did. Had 30 rushing attempts, had 183 yards on the ground, 4 receptions for 56 yards, including 1 touchdown through the air. Rico Dowdle just absolutely took off, and he was a big big factor why the Panthers won this week against the Dallas Cowboys. And it was also on a game-winning field goal kick, which is clearly, I love me some good kickers, especially the one that is it Kyra Sanders? No, Kyra Sanders isn't there. Who is the kicker for the Panthers? Oh, well, it doesn't matter. He won the game for him, though, so it did matter. I'm pretty sure it was Fitzgerald. That's the only name that can pop into my mind right now. But Rico Dowdle might be a valuable, you might want to have him on your team. Make sure you start him each and every single week. Even if Chuba Hubbard is healthy, I feel like what we've seen in the volume, whether if it was the over 200 rushing yards a week prior or almost close to having 200 rushing yards during this week, he's just a force to be reckoned with, and he's a clear target for what this offense needs to do. This offense has found itself on a ground and pound-esque type of course, and they're winning football games because of it, because of a guy like Rico Dowdle or even Chuba Hubbard comes back. You have at least a 1-2, two-headed monster. It kind of reminds me of like the Jonathan Stewart type of days with the team. And oh my goodness, the other guys escaping my his name, Jonathan Stewart and not Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Stewart. Why can't I think of the other guy's name? Oh my goodness, I can see his face right now. But it could possibly have a 2-headed monster in Carolina, and it's going to be a-okay because Rico Dowdle is he's an electric factory. He is 30 rushing attempts, 183 yards this past week. They force-fed him. They needed to. He was playing with piss and vinegar throughout the entirety of that game, and it showed. And him walking off the field even looked like a badass as well. And even this run that he had right here, you see the image-wise was badass for itself too. But no, what an incredible 2 weeks Rico Dowdle has been doing. And hopefully you have started him, and hopefully he's helped you win some games this week because he's played massively and put up over 30-plus PPR points per week. Like I mentioned, 32.4 this past week against his former team, the Dallas Cowboys. Tell you what, Baker Mayfield, that dude is an absolute dog. I am a betting man, and if I were to go over to the state line of Kansas and decide to put a bet in, I'm putting Baker Mayfield for MVP. Yes, he has had 8+ deep shots over 20+ yards that went for a touchdown. Tez Johnson caught a massive one to put them up by a score and a half to get them a nice, decent lead over the 49ers. But even shown right here on this image, Baker Mayfield is a top quarterback in fantasy football standards. He's a top quarterback in the NFL. All this guy wants to do is win football games and do it however ground and pound-esque it is. He doesn't care if he puts his body out on the line. He literally extended his arm all the way out, made sure his legs were straight, make sure he can get that first down. And as you see in the image right here on YouTube, which, by the way, all the YouTube stuff, people, all you YouTubers, you're getting some great images from these games this week. But man, Baker Mayfield is an absolute stud. We'll get to him a little bit later on. But man, and also the fact that he's doing all this, also losing some key players. We saw Mike Evans go out a handful of weeks ago. We just witnessed, which absolutely sucks, Emeka Ibuka hurt his hamstring during this game. Ricard White has been thrusted into the backfield, and there's just Bucky's been hurt. These guys have been hurt, but Baker's going out there and basically saying, hey, don't worry, I'll put this team on my back. We'll make sure we get to the postseason. You just ride with me. And man, the Buccaneers, they could easily win this division. I think they're going to win the AFC or the NFC South. There's no other team there that is trying to, I guess, go out there and get for it. Saints, Falcons, Panthers, No, it's the Buccaneers. Buccaneers or bust. They have to get to the playoffs. That's just what they are. This team could beat the Lions. I think it could, especially with Baker Mayfield back there. Baker Mayfield wields his team to victories, kind of like how he wielded his team to victory against the 49ers, the Mac Jones-led 49ers. Alrighty, this week, Chiefs fans, you know it's big. You know it's awesome because, one, it's Raiders week. So the Raiders are coming into town. Maybe there is a victory lap that goes around the building or not. But there is one person that will be doing probably some victory laps throughout the building because of the touchdowns that he possibly could be scoring. And that's Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice is back for the Kansas City Chiefs this week up against the Las Vegas Raiders. And yeah, one, start Rashee Rice. Two, or do you start Rashee Rice? There are so many cooks in the kitchen when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. They love spreading the football around. Heck, Hollywood Brown had 2 touchdowns on Sunday night against the Lions. Do we think Hollywood Brown is going to get that target share like we saw on Sunday night with Rashee Rice in the lineup? No. What about Xavier Worthy? No. Travis Kelce? No. I still can't believe Rocky Magana once said that he believes that Rashee Rice is like Amon-Ra St. Brown. I haven't seen Rashee Rice play football in like 2 years. I can't put him and coin him one of the better wide receivers in the league like Amon-Ra St. Brown truly is, even though he got shut down against Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. That's because that's a Steve Spagnuolo defense that's just absolutely incredible. Rashee Rice will be back this week. Do you start him? I honestly have no idea if you should or not. He's going to be and also that goes around with all the other Chiefs wide receivers. We know Mahomes throws it around. Heck, Juju Smith-Schuster gets his targets. Tyquan Thornton will still get his targets. We might see a Noah Gray catch or even Brashard Smith catch or even a Kareem Hunt catch or even an Isaiah Pacheco catch. This is what happens in an Andy Reid-led offense that Patrick Mahomes just wants to dish it out and get as much yards as possible, whether if it's 1 yard or 30 yards. He's going to try to get as close to the first down as possible or to get that first down and to keep moving the ball down the field. That's why I love and enjoy watching a Chiefs offense go around. But you have so many guys with the exact same player. Who knows who's going to be the one that shines out each and every single week? Heck, who knows? Xavier Worthy could take a step back this upcoming week. Rashee Rice could just be orchestrated on in, thrust him back in there like, hey, you forgot about this guy. This guy's been away for some time. Now he's back. He's, I'm insanely curious to see what the workload is going to be, the snap count's going to be. Because, it's not like he hasn't been in the facility for the last 3 weeks. He hasn't been practicing. He's able to practice on Wednesday. So I think everything will be A-okay with what you have, with the way you drafted. Heck, I know in one of my leagues, I traded away to Xavier Worthy to get a package deal to get another wide receiver back in return. But I prepared myself because I don't know what that share for the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be throwing around each time. We know that they're going to throw 70% of the time. That's just how their offense works. But we just don't know who Mahomes is actually going to truly throw it to. And plus, I haven't seen Rashee Rice play a handful of games in years. So I'm just going to put a big question mark on Rashee Rice. I would not start him this week, but it is also against the Las Vegas Raiders defense. That secondary is not great. I know this came off a win against Tennessee Titans, but they're playing their divisional rival. Typically, whenever the Raiders do win these games, it's at Arrowhead, and it's not at Las Vegas, and the game's at Arrowhead this week. Heck, I'll be there in attendance to be covering that game. Can't wait to be out there and experience that. But I don't know if I would want to start Rashee Rice. That's just my 2 cents. I'm curious how you guys think of that. Put in the comment section down below, whether on YouTube or even over on Spotify's comments of the podcast. If you have, if you're going to start Rashee Rice, I'm curious to see if you are. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it. Is what I should say. Not good for other wide receivers around the league. So if you have Rashee Rice on your bench and you wanted to start Puka Nacua, well, Puka Nacua went down in the first half of the Ravens and Rams game yesterday with an apparent ankle injury. It ended up being an ankle, and he thankfully got away from any type of seriousness, but I guess it's a rolled ankle at this point in time. It's just swollen and sprained. The only downfall and concerning thing for Puka Nacua owners is they had the London game. They go to London against the Jacksonville Jaguars next on week 7. Who knows how well that ankle is going to be in an airplane ride coming from LA all the way over to England. You'd have to get him there right now and start rehabbing instantly if you want him to try to get him to play. I just don't know if that's in the cards of the scenario of what the Rams are trying to truly do with the health around his ankle. You clearly need to have Puka Nacua out there in order for this offense to be great. I know Devontae Adams is still a stud. Devontae Adams can still get the job done, but this is the number one wide receiver in fantasy for anything. He's already had over 50 receptions this season. It's absolutely insane the amount of workload that he's been thrown to from Matthew Stafford, because Matthew Stafford just loves throwing it to his guy Puka. So this is a big blow for Nacua owners. And who knows, he might play this week or he may just be out. And honestly, if it's me, I wouldn't start him. They're playing in England. I just don't like it. I know it sucks for those England fans, the people who are trying to witness Puka Nacua in person. I just don't expect him to be playing this week, and because of just the flight over there. All right, lastly on the foolish funsies, Justin Fields. Speaking of dreadful games in London, I feel like London gets the worst games possible when it comes to times. But they got one of the worst ones. Or if you like defenses, they got one of the best defensive games well-rounded between both Jets and Broncos this past week. But Justin Fields, first off, let me get a drink real quick. Some nice high-quality H2O right there. Justin Fields. I just want to let you all know that you're listening to this right now. Congratulations. Congratulations. Because you had more passing yards this week than Justin Fields did. He had -10 passing yards. I'm so happy if you listened to last week's podcast to get you prepped for week 6, me telling you do not start Justin Fields because it worked out. You should not have started Justin Fields because he just could not get anything done whatsoever against the Broncos defense. And he was sacked, 10 times? Absolutely insane amount of sacks that he had on him. It wasn't good. It wasn't pretty. You had more passing yards than Justin Fields. I just want to let that sink in for a second. Congratulations. You are an NFL caliber quarterback. And Justin Fields apparently isn't. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. That came out of my mouth. That came out of my mouth right here on Foolish Fantasy. That came out of my mouth. Wow. Absolutely wow. Well, we're going into almost the halfway mark of fantasy football because, to the halfway point of getting to the playoffs. There's some teams that are going to be 1-5 by the end of this week. There's some teams going to be 2-3, 3-2, 5-0. Shout out to you all if you have yet to lose a fantasy game this week or this year. Heck, why am I saying 5-0? 6-0. We're heading into this is week 6, Kramer. This is week 6. The season goes by quickly. It does. It always does. So we're at the week 6 mark, heading into week 7. I want to go over my top 5s. We're not going to go over the shiners and the false hopes like we typically do on these podcasts. No, we're going to my top 5s right now. We're going to go by position. Yes, we'll get to the quarterbacks. We'll get to the running backs. We'll get to the wide receivers, tight ends. Yes, kickers. And we at least have the top 4 defenses that are must-grabs, must-haves on teams. Let's get into the quarterbacks. Because the first one, let's see if it pops up. First one's Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen is the number 1 quarterback right now when it comes to fantasy standards. Also, this is, excuse me, shouldn't be coughing in mics. This is clearly, this is being recorded before the Monday night games, both Monday night games, but it's because Josh Allen is ranked 7th right now in quarterback standards on ESPN, even though the week coming in, he was number 1. Josh Allen is the best quarterback to have when it comes to fantasy football standards because of the fact that he can run out of the pocket and his accuracy throwing footballs and getting it to the players that need to get first downs or even touchdowns. He is very good at it. And that's why I think he's the number 1 quarterback in the NFL for fantasy football standards, even though he's ranked 7th right now on ESPN. Secondly on it, Drake May. Drake May is the second best quarterback in fantasy football. He's throwing for over 200 yards each and every single week. His interception to touchdown ratio is very minuscule. He's getting the job done in New England. He's turning heads. The only game that he has lost this year is against week 1 against the Las Vegas Raiders. That's just week 1. He has done absolutely incredible things. He even knocked off the Bills 2 weeks ago on Sunday Night Football. Drake May is the future of this team, and he's just playing like he's the best out there. Has 5 straight QBR ratings over 100, including over 200 passing yards each and every single week. The last person that has done that has graced this earth of playing football, it's currently playing football, is Patrick Mahomes. We're saying that Drake May is Patrick Mahomes level S caliber talent. Absolutely insane. I think Drake May's number 2 quarterback when it comes to fantasy football. Number 3 is Patrick Mahomes. We saw that last night against Sunday Night Football, to where I know it was a banged up Detroit Lions defense, but it doesn't matter. He went out there and he played his ass off. Mahomes has been playing like an MVP this entire season. The only reason why the Chiefs are 3-3 is because of Patrick Mahomes, because Mahomes was trying to get his team back into those games, the 3 games that they've lost this season. It's just he just couldn't be able to do it because of the defense either squandering it or just dumb penalties. When you play a game or a team like the Lions and you barely give a penalty at all, you're going to win the game. And if Patrick Mahomes get an opportunity to throw the football downfield, he's going to throw the football downfield, including with adding Rashee Rice to it, which, like I said earlier, I'm curious to see how it's going to go. But Patrick Mahomes is my number 3 ranked quarterback when it comes to fantasy football. Number 4, Baker. Baker. I don't care who his wide receivers are right now. He gets the job done. He makes sure his teams win. And whenever he makes sure his teams win, he's slinging it left and right, or even down the middle, or even just on slant routes, go routes, corner, curls, comebacks. He's putting the ball where it needs to be in order to get that first down. Baker has been an absolute stud, and it's been so much fun to watch all this season. He's been a huge difference maker for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. People were talking about how bad the Buccaneers could possibly be this season with Baker Mayfield behind center. There's a quote that he has that's on his arm that I absolutely love. It's tattooed. Heck, I have it on my rundown sheets because it's very inspirational and inspiring. It's believe in yourself, and the B and the U in yourself, the B and believe and the U in yourself are bold and are highlighted because it's be you. Believe in yourself. Baker Mayfield's believing in himself right now. Heck, I think my cat's also agreeing with me because he's banging a drawer over in this other room, which he needs to stop. But he believes in Baker as well. Baker Mayfield is a top 5 quarterback in fantasy football, and if you don't have him, I would try to go out there and get him. If you don't have any of these quarterbacks, you should probably go out there and get them. Lastly, on the top 5, Daniel Jones. You might think I'm crazy. Daniel Jones, the 8th ranked quarterback in ESPN. He's in Shane Steichen's realm of, you're my system quarterback. There's nothing wrong with being a system quarterback. You will get the job done in the system, and we are going to win football games. That has been proven each and every single week for Daniel Jones. I know he had one bad week, but it's just one bad week. He's played through 6, and he's going to, I don't know if he has a cookie cutter type of schedule? No. Daniel Jones is making plays. Daniel Jones is playing like Daniel Jones the year that he got the big payday from the Giants. Like, Daniel Jones is great. I think so. My top 5 QBs right now: Josh Allen, Drake May, Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, and Daniel Jones. We'll go on the running backs right now. Jonathan Taylor is number 1. Jonathan Taylor has to be number 1. Jonathan Taylor he puts up fantasy numbers each and every single week. I know he doesn't get in the end zone each and every single week, but when he does get in the end zones, it's by a cluster or getting 3 each and every single time. Jonathan Taylor is an absolute stud. Next one, Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs played his flu game against the Bengals and played like he wasn't even sick. Josh Jacobs is so much fun to watch. Still cannot believe the Raiders did not want to bring him back onto their team. I thought it was idiotic. I thought it was dumb. I thought it was stupid. But you know what? That's what the Raiders do. And they let him go, went to Green Bay, and then the rest is history. He's been doing incredible things in Green Bay, continues to do incredible things in Green Bay, coming off a bye week where they just needed to rest up, and that's what exactly Josh Jacobs did. Came out there, ground and pound against the Bengals, and that's why he's my number 2 on this list. My number 3, Cam Skadaboo. What do we got? What do we got to say more about this? If Tyrone Tracy comes back in here and takes away all the snaps from Cam, I'm gonna be absolutely mad. I'll be irritated because the amount of stock that we brought into Cam Skadaboo, especially for your fantasy teams right now, he's a must start each and every single week because of the red zone efficiency. He gets the ball, he bulldozes himself instantly forward. I get it. He's had a bad fumble against the Saints while in the red zone trying to score, but that happens. That's just football. And what does he do from it? He comes back and just does an absolute smoke show-esque performance in week 6. So Cam Skadaboo is a must-start each and every single week, and he would be a nice person to have. Another one, CMC. Do we need to say anything else? Except for CMC, he has to be a top 5 running back no matter what. If not, he could be a top 1, a top 2, or a top 3. He could be in the top 3. He's my number 4 on this list. But man, CMC just continues to impress me each and every single week, even though it shouldn't. But he has to deal with Mac Jones. He's got to deal with hurt players on the team constantly, and he's at times he's one of them. But you haven't had George Kittle since week one. Jawan Jennings barely plays. Alec Pearsall is every once in a while out there. Kendrick Bourne's been an absolute stud, and then you have Christian McCaffrey, who's been Mr. Reliable each and every single week for them. CMC is number 4 on my list. And number 5, Bijan Robinson. Can't wait to see what he does on Monday Night Football. I'm curious because, I mean, like I said, this is clearly the day after, so I'm assuming a great performance from Bijan. He's my number 5. If Christian McCaffrey was playing on Monday night and Bijan wasn't, and Bijan already played, probably would put Bijan at my number 4 or number 3. It just depends. But Bijan's an absolute stud. He's also very fun to play with when it comes to playing fantasy football, but also on Madden. He's great on Madden. Let's go over to the wide receivers. Number 1 wide receiver, George Pickens. George Pickens is getting the job done for Dak Prescott. The only bad problem about the Cowboys is winning football games. They can't win football games with that defense. But you know what? We can win fantasy football matchups with having George Pickens on our team because of how bad that defense is. Dak's going to have to go down the field, hit his favorite target, George Pickens, right now, because we're enjoying the fact that CeeDee Lamb's been hurt. I know it sucks saying that, but your George Pickens owners, congratulations. You went out there and was like, hey, I'm going to get George Pickens. Not just because of the injury aspect. I kind of expected George Pickens to thrive in an offense where CeeDee Lamb's lined up on the opposite side of him. And he's thrived with CeeDee Lamb there and thrived with CeeDee Lamb out. Like, I'm curious to see how good this offense is about to be getting downfield. He might have some, I guess, snaps or targets be taken away because of CeeDee Lamb. But George Pickens is still going to eat no matter what each and every single week. Also a person eating every single week. I just don't understand why they have they just have one wide receiver in Seattle. That's Jackson Smith and Njigba. Dude is incredible. He's super athletic. His agility is off the charts. He can burn you and burn me and burn everybody else around him, and he will find open space. And guess who throws it in the bucket? Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold throws it in the bucket. Jackson Smith and Njigba is an absolute one of the better wide receivers in the league. That's why I have at number 2 on fantasy football standards. Jamar Chase, number 3 on my list. He had an incredible catch against Green Bay to get a touchdown where he split through 2 defenders. He had to come back and get over the top of one of the defenders of the Packers, and he was able to catch and receive that pass from Joe Flacco, gets a late score touchdown. That was impressive. He's still getting his targets each and every single week. He's still putting up numbers, and he's still very good in fantasy standards. And also with Joe Flacco there, is going to still elevate him no matter what, being one of the better wide receivers in the NFL and also in fantasy standards. Emeka Egbuka sucks that his hamstring got hurt the week prior, or this past week, because he's on course of winning Rookie of the Year. So I'm hoping he doesn't miss as many games as possible. But he's still number 4 on this list. And lastly, on the wide receivers, Rome Odunze. Rome is Caleb Williams' boy. Like that's his favorite target to go out there and throw it to. It's not DJ Moore anymore. It could be Colston Loveland at some point, but Rome Odunze has just been incredible. I didn't expect Rome Odunze to have a performance this week. I like that. I'm curious to see what his Monday night does or what his Monday night did. So he's on number 5 on my list. Let's go over to tight ends. Number 1, Dallas Goedert. In an offense that sucks with Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, and Jalen Hurts, why is it their tight end Dallas Goedert is the most reliable receiver on that team? He's a must-start each and every single week. I'm pretty sure he had over 20 fantasy points this past week. And I know the game was on Thursday night. I know they lost the Giants, but Dallas Goedert is still being a big difference maker for teams in games. Now let's go over to the next one, and Tyler Ward. His luscious locks of hair. The number 2 tight end in fantasy football for a good reason. Daniel Jones absolutely loves throwing him the football. He took over the first drive of the game in week 6, and it honestly they pushed full force down on the gas pedal the entire time. And Tyler Warren, I think it's also crazy that I've had 3 guys from the Colts on my top 5s. Their quarterback, their running back, and their tight end. That's saying some good stuff out there for Shane Steichen's offense in Indy. It's good. It's fun to watch. It truly is. Number 3 on it, Tucker Kraft had a big game against the Bengals. I know he only had 2 receptions, one of them being a touchdown, him leaping into the end zone, as you see right here over on YouTube. Tucker Kraft's good. Like, I did not expect him to be a leading candidate for anything for Jordan Love, but I guess if you can't not trust the health of, say, Romeo Doubs or Christian Watson, you might as well go with your flu game, Josh Jacobs. Go to your tight end, Tucker Kraft. He's getting the job done for you. Number 3 on my list. Sam Laporta's number 4. Had an incredible catch Sunday Night Football against Shamari Connor. There's a big reason why. He's got some elusive hands, able to score touchdowns at will, get first downs, being a very nice security blanket for Jared Goff when other guys can't step up or go up against a touted defense like the Kansas City Chiefs. Sam Laporta stepped up. They just didn't get the job done winning the game. Sam Laporta's number 4 on my list. Number 5, Dalton Kincaid. He's been a better tight end. I was razzing him a lot last year when he could not catch that literally the pop-up football that all he had to do was watch and track for it and catch it, and because he was the only one around there, and he could not get his feet to where he needed to be, and he missed the pass from Josh Allen that would have gotten the Bills into Chiefs territory and possibly in field goal range to win the game. Just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. Dalton Kincaid, though, has been putting on a great performance this season so far, being one of the leading getters on receptions and also on receiving yards as a tight end. So those 5, Dallas Goedert, Tyler Warren, Tucker Kraft, Sam Laporta, and Dalton Kincaid are my top 5 when it comes to tight ends. Let's go to kickers. Love me a kicker. Brandon Aubrey, number 1 kicker in fantasy football, continues to do it. His offense is going to allow him to either stall out at the 40 to kick those deep, long ones, and he can drain them, or just getting the extra points. It's kind of like what we saw with Spencer Strader before Spencer Strader went down. Spencer Strader would have been my number 1, but torn ACL, MCL, you name it, absolutely ugly injury for a kicker, especially it being his kicking leg. Absolutely unfortunate for Spencer Strader. But Brandon Aubrey, number 1. Number 2, Nick Folk. I love this man. I've watched Nick Folk kick his entire career, whether it was in the NFL, the AAF, the XFL, the USFL, the probably Mexican League if he was going to kick over there, or even the CFL, I probably would have watched it. Back in the Jets, went to the Patriots, bounced around so many times. The Jets are using him perfectly because the Jets can't score touchdowns. They can only get across midfield, and Nick Folk can punch it through those uprights because he has one of the better legs as a kicker in football. Number 2 for me on this list. Number 3, Jason Myers of the Seattle Seahawks. I would highly suggest getting these 5 kickers on your team because kickers win football games if you have the kicker designation on your team. I love having the kicker designation because I always do it. But Jason Myers is a must-have. Eddie Pinheiro for the 49ers is not owned in many leagues, and he might be the 3rd best fantasy football kicker. He's number 4 on my list. But Eddie Pinheiro, former Chief, getting the job done in San Fran, like it's fun to watch because I think he put up 18 fantasy points this past week. He's putting up the points in fantasy football. Eddie Pinheiro, number 4 on my list. Cameron Dickers, number 5, the most accurate kicker in the NFL. He's just Mr. Reliable. Like, you can always count on him at a given moment each and every single time. Now, let's go on to the defenses. I don't have any images of the defenses, so we'll just go by them real quick. The Denver Broncos are number 1. There's no reason for them not to be, especially for that performance they had against the New York Jets. The Pittsburgh Steelers, another good defense. Texans and the Rams are my top 4 defenses right now when it comes to fantasy football. Now, let's go over to the waiver wire watcher before we wrap some things up here. There's 3 guys that I think we should all keep an eye out on this week or probably add to stash. Number 1 is wide receiver Sterling Shepard, Baker Mayfield's old college buddy and friend, and still continues to be his friend over in the Buccaneers. With Emeka Egbuka possibly in question for this Week 7 matchup against Detroit, and we already know Mike Evans is already hurt. Who's going to step up? Is it going to be Tez Johnson? Possibly. Is it going to be Sterling Shepard? I think it's more Sterling Shepard than it is Tez Johnson because Tez Johnson was – because it's odd saying this, but since he had that deep shot for a touchdown, teams are going to now scheme for that, the possibility of that being a case, and they're going to double cover or make sure their best guy is on that streak of Tez Johnson, and then who's going to be down below to help the crosser or a comeback like a Sterling Shepard-esque type. He's owned in 50% of leagues. They do go up to the Detroit Lions, who have as we saw with the Chiefs, what Chiefs did against that secondary. If guys aren't healthy, like Kirby Joseph or Teron Arnold, like there could be a good game for Sterling Shepard to have, and he's only owned 50%, so you might as well go out there and go get him. On the running back side, we were completely wrong with going out there to get Hassan Haskins, and Kamani Vidal owned in 27% of fantasy leagues. They play the Colts in week 7. It's not like the Colts have the best run defense, kind of like the middle of the pack run defense. He might get some love, might get some shine. Also, we got to take it with a grain of salt what his performance was. The week prior was the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins are literally the worst run defense in the NFL. So that's probably a big reason why Vidal had a great ground game the entire time. And that's why he pretty much secured the starting job until Marion Hampton's back later on this month. But Kamani Vidal is another guy I would like to be interested in looking out at. And also tight end, his name's been brought up once before on this. It's going to be brought up once again because he's only owned in 29% of the leagues. With David Njoku going down for the Browns, we don't know he's in question for this upcoming week. Harold Fanning Jr. They go against the Miami Dolphins in week 7. We know what the Miami Dolphins do. They do not play defense whatsoever. So Harold Fanning Jr. might be a guy that you might want to have to add in order to, get the job done for your team. You just never know. But that will do it for this edition of Foolish Fantasy. Thank you all for sticking around this entire time. If you haven't done so, please like this video. Make sure you do subscribe and turn on notifications. Hit that bell icon. Might as well hit that bell icon because, wouldn't you want to know when we're live? Wouldn't you want to know? Like I said, I want to know what you guys are doing. Are you making the playoffs? Are you out of the playoffs? You can kind of gauge that while we enter into week 7, but I'm curious to hear from you all. But that'll do it for this edition of Foolish Fantasy. Get those waiver claims in. Those guys, they're a difference maker. Just don't sit back. Put those claims in. Get the job done, and hopefully you can just prepare for week 7. Good luck this upcoming week, as the next episode will preview the week ahead of week 7.